Before I even drew page 1 of my webcomic, there were 10,000 invisible considerations that went into the creation process of my characters, of the story, of the presentation, before I even put line 1 on the page. And that's what comics are. That's what visual storytelling is. It's 10,000, 100,000, millions of invisible ideas, concepts, and feelings all being pulled together into one piece of art, one work of art, to convey to you a story that will hopefully make you feel the same thing that I felt just thinking about the idea that I had. I posted a tweet a long time ago about how comics is an invisible art. And for the longest time, I had never even read that is the subtitle of Understanding Comics. It's Understanding Comics by Scott McCloud, the invisible art. And this was something that I just had as a background sense in my mind for years, but couldn't quite put into words. I was just actually in the process of making comics. And one day I just realized, wait a minute, a lot of the things that I'm putting on the page are invisible concepts, things that can't be seen. And yet I'm trying to use lines and colors to convey these invisible things that nobody can see. And it's really kind of a nuanced point, and it's something that I have to explain. It goes beyond the mechanical things that Scott McCloud talks about in this book. And he also touches on what I'm about to tell you about right now. I'll explain using an example from a video I just recently watched. It was a video about Rurouni Kenshin, and the creator of the video was comparing the remake to the older version of Kenshin. And he was talking about why it feels so much different comparatively. He was talking about how the old version had so much charm and personality compared to the newer version, which just seemed more flat and soulless. And it's not for the creator's lack of trying that it ended up being that way, but his inner feelings couldn't be denied. And it was reflected in the comment section as well. Most people prefer the old version of Rurouni Kenshin because it generated so much more feeling and emotion for them through the art style, through the music choice, through the animation, the art direction. Everything came together to make a whole experience that a person will remember decades from now. Kenshin is actually one of my earliest memories from when I was a child. It was probably the first anime I ever saw on TV. I just didn't recognize it as such. I was maybe 3 years old, and I probably just snapped into sentience at that moment. I was just like, what's this? What is that thing? I don't understand, but it looks kind of cool. Like, a deep part of my soul was drawn to it in a way that I couldn't really understand. And then I watched it for the first time when I was maybe around 14. And then I loved it and just remembered it, and it kept it in my mind for years and years afterward. Taking a look at the manga, reading the manga, and then rewatching it just last year. And when I saw the newer version, I could immediately tell it just don't got the sauce. It's the most sauceless remake I've ever seen of any anime in existence. I watched it and I was just like, no. It just looks too flat. There's no art direction. There's no charm. There's no personality. But the point about that is the things that people were talking about in the comment section are invisible things. How do you notice what charm is? Like, where is the personality? Where is the sauce? All of these things are invisible. They're concepts. They're not real. But if you watch both series back to back, the difference is night and day. The difference is felt inside your body. The difference is obvious, but the product is different. The They're both, you're looking at drawings in motion in both cases. And maybe to the layman, there's no difference. Maybe to a casual viewer, there's no difference. They're just looking at moving drawings and it's like, oh, this one's kind of shinier and that one's kind of old, and okay, yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it's pretty nice. But to a fan, there's a clear difference, and it's physical. They're both drawings, but the idea behind them, the feeling behind them, the intent behind these drawings is completely different. The old version, there was a feeling of, I want to convey this moment. I want to convey this character with the utmost respect to the character, to the vision, and to creating an experience for the viewer that really draws them in to the world and makes them feel the animation that we're providing. Those are all intangible concepts. The tangible thing is drawing on paper. This is the tangible thing. But before it comes to this point, you actually have to think about your intent. You actually have to think about, okay, what's the best way to convey this shot? What's the best way to make sure that the reader feels my intent? The reader feels the emotions that I'm trying to convey to them. What's the best way to do that? All of these thoughts, all of these feelings go into the behind the scenes. It's the intangible intent that goes into the drawings of Kenshin to make it into what it was in the 1990s. The intent behind the animation in the 2020s new anime is much different. It could be, hey, we gotta make some money off of this show. Or it could be, hey, the author's bad, so let's not try that hard. Or, hey, I like the character, but hey, we just gotta rush this out. Or, hey, we don't have that much time to make it really good, so let's just, keep it moving. Just slap the character sheet, the character model sheet in the scene. Nobody will really notice. Nobody really cares. People are just watching their screens anyway. They're watching multiple screens. They're not really paying attention to the show that we're making. So don't really try that hard. The music, just put anything on there. Doesn't really matter. The animation, it could just be any old generic animation. It doesn't really matter. We're just reheating leftovers. Because the old version set such a high standard for creation that the new version just can't match up. And I find that that's the same not only in that anime, but in other new works as well that try to cash in on older properties. Like FLCL, for example, Fooly Cooly, which started off as a pure expression of the oncoming of adolescence, with expressions and faces that felt so cartoony and yet real because they were based on natural feelings, compared to the 4 mostly forgettable cash grab sequels that barely matched even a fraction of the liveliness of the original and mostly looked like generic modern anime, making it seem as if they missed the entire point of the originals to begin with. But the point of the matter is that in order to make a piece of work that will be remembered, that will be read more than once, you actually have to put more of your energy and attention into the invisible ether behind the actual drawing of the story. The drawing of the story is almost the least part of it. It's all this stuff in the ether that you got to figure out how to translate into actual physical symbols so that other people can understand and you can properly transfer your emotions that you're feeling inside to other people so that they can feel it too. Manga in general just happens to be exceptionally good at doing this because the style of the art is so tied to one mind and one soul that they're able to create works that really resonate with you because they're so highly specific in their style and in their feeling and their intent that they're able to convey a story to you that wouldn't work as well if it were too many people creating one piece of work. You have stories like Nana, which are able to convey so much emotion to the reader through the events and the scenes and the characters and how they act and react and emote, all this stuff. You have Dandadan, you have Love Hina, you have Tower Dungeon, Terraform Mars, all conveying different effects, different emotions to the viewer, using 1,000 invisible things to convey their idea. And it's no different for American comics like Spider-Man or Mark Oakley's Thieves and Kings or Steampunk by Chris Bacalo. The tools needed to create these stories are 99% in your own mind, in the ether, and filtered through your personality, through your skill level, through your desire, through your intent. And it is your duty as an artist, as a webcomic artist, as a cartoonist, as a mangaka, as a creator, to take all these invisible symbols and turn it into a physical thing, a world of characters and beings that people can relate to, laugh with, cry with, and enjoy for a lifetime. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do with my latest supernatural horror webcomic called Saintly. It is a demon chase horror action comedy about two best friends who have to outrun the demon loan sharks that they borrowed from. Basically, it's like Scooby-Doo meets K-pop demon hunters without the K-pop. And the story backs the main character into a corner where she has to decide between the hard path to success or lose her soul to the lure of easy money. And we get to see the ramifications of her choice, and if she can hide this deal with the devil from her friend, or if it will tear them apart. And I hope you read my comic in the description and check out the story. It should appear in your email inbox or your spam folder if you don't see it. And I hope you can feel every bit of the intent that I had behind creating this, and you can see and feel the emotions of the characters in the way that I drew them, and in how they interact, and in the colors that are used to convey the emotions. I hope you can feel all of that in my comic when it comes out in October. And that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you for watching. Please rate, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.